Friends, life is such a beautiful, isn't it? I'm sure you do agree with me. And for getting this beauty to the fullest, we must be curious about life. I'm sure you agree with this as well. So from today onwards, I'm starting this one small, a kind of movement, unfolding the mystery of life, mystery of the beautiful emotions of our life. I'm sure this curiosity will beautify our life to the fullest extent. I promise you, you will definitely be very much confident. You will definitely be very much blissful when you will be on this journey of unfolding the beauty of our life. Let's start it with one emotion. Happiness. Yes, happiness. What do you think about happiness? For me, happiness is one of the most beautiful, one of the most wonderful feeling. Isn't it for you? I'm sure it is. Because it is definitely an emotion that everyone is after it. Everyone wants the happiness. But it's a very interesting thing that it happens very rarely that you will ever come across a very happy person. Because happiness doesn't stay for long. Most of the time, as we can see, happiness is temporary emotion. It's short-lived. One moment, some news or some reason, you get happy, and the next moment, you feel sad. Sometimes, just after a few moments, you get sad, you get another feeling than happiness. So the life of happiness stays only few moments. It doesn't stay there for long. Have you ever thought about this particular aspect of happiness? Even though we are putting in whole life to be happy, it stays there only for a few moments, sometimes for some hours. Haven't you experienced this? One day in the morning, you are so happy, and in the afternoon, you are so sad, you are so angry, you are so jealous, you are envious, you are loving. Happiness is no more there after few moments only. Gets changed, gets replaced by some other feeling. Have you ever thought about this? I always wonder. And hence I am curious, and hence I try to find some things, some knowledge about this. I got some. That's what I'm sharing with you now. Hoping it will beautify your life. Have you ever wondered why the happiness doesn't stay for long? Let me tell you. Actually, happiness is driven by external circumstances. It is externally driven feeling. And we can very easily see that external circumstances keep changing. And hence, the happiness gets replaced by some other feeling, some other emotion, and hence it can't stay there for long. Since it is driven by external factor, it is short-lived, it is not there for permanent. Let me share with you some very important knowledge about happiness. Listen it carefully. Happiness is a dual feeling. It's a dual feeling, double-edged feeling. Like, the coin has two sides, just like that. Happiness is also dual feeling. And in the world of duality, everything is dual. What does it mean by that? It means everything is having the opposite side of the same. It's like a day and night, male and female, birth and death, creation and destruction. Everything is dual in this world. So happiness is also having its opposite, sadness. It means everything is balanced by its counterpart, by its opposite. Isn't it important to know this? Imagine that there is no death in this world. What will happen? The world will be too much populated and the resources will not be enough. And that will create chaos in this world. Moreover, if death happens, the energy goes back to the source so that the energy could be used for creation, a further creation. That means destruction is needed for creation. So everything moves in circle. There are cycles. There are cycles of days and night. There are cycles of birth and death. There are cycles of creation and destruction. And so is the case with emotions. It's cyclic. One moment you are happy and the next moment you are having some other feeling, like maybe you are having sorrow, maybe you are having envy, maybe you are having jealousy, maybe you are depressed or frustrated or some other feeling. But the same feeling doesn't stay long, and that's why you can't be permanently happy. It's cyclic. Let me share with you another aspect of this dual world. Same thing causes happiness and sadness. How interesting. The presence of the same thing gives you happiness, and after a few moments in certain other circumstances, the absence of the same thing causes you sadness. Just consider even your parents or maybe your children. When they are with you, you are happy. And imagine they are lost. What would happen? You will be sad. The presence is causing the happiness and absence is causing the sadness. But it doesn't end here. Even we find exactly opposite too. Sometimes there are things, there are people, or there are situations where the absence of something causes the happiness and presence of the same causes the sadness. Sometimes it happens. Absence of the person that you don't like or thing that you don't like or the situation that you don't like creates happiness in your life. And the presence of the same creates sadness, creates sorrow, creates different feeling. So the same thing causes both the things, happiness as well as sorrow. Let me tell you one more principle of this duality, this dual world. In dual world, there is one thing that is permanent called change. Everything is changing. Everything is changing every moment. And hence, you can never get the happiness permanently, eternally, forever. That means happiness in a moment will be followed by sorrow, by anger, by jealousy, by envy, by love, by care, by some other feeling. So, from this, can't you get a point that when you are after happiness, in fact, you are also after sorrow? And at the end of the day, eventually you get both. Whether you want it or you don't want it. You are bound to get both because it's dual. You get one, you get second too. So if you get a coin and if you want only tail, that's not possible. You get head as well. You get head, you get tail as well. Whether you want it, whether you don't want it. Because it is dual. That is the characteristic of this duality of this world. So what should be done? The best thing in such a situation is accept the duality of this life. Accept the duality of this feeling called happiness. Life will be quite easier. Though, instead of doing this, you can do one more thing. And that is, you can go for some other feeling that is better than happiness. Is there anyone? Yes. There is one feeling that is even better than this happiness, and that is joy. Joy is not externally driven feeling. It's internally driven feeling. It depends on you to be joyful. And hence it is always better than happiness. Since it doesn't depend on the external factor, external people, it is not controlled by them. And that's why joy is more consistent, since it is internally cultivated. Joy is beyond happiness. It can be there for a longer time, since it is not controlled by external factors. It can be there for a longer time. So go for joy, not for happiness. You get joy when you make peace with yourself. Know yourself. Accept yourself. That will create joy. Who you are, what you are, why you are, how you are. Know this, accept this, and it will create joy. You have already felt joy many times, because when we are in love, we feel joy. When we dance, we feel joy. And when we are joyful, we feel completely secure. As I said, joy is beyond happiness. It is 100 times superior to happiness. But there is one more feeling which is even better than this, and that is bliss. You know that the greatest people, those people to whom we call saint, we call them sadhu, such an enlightened soul, they never care for happiness or joy. They care for bliss. Bliss is a non-dual feeling, unlike happiness, joy, or that ecstasy. Bliss is beyond this dual world. This is not from this dual world, and hence it can be there for permanent. It can be there eternally. And that's why the enlightened people, greatest of the people, are always after bliss. And they get it. And once they get it, it always remains there. It doesn't have any counterpart, unlike happiness and joy. Now you must be having a question, then how to get this bliss? Remember, friends, bliss comes when we go beyond the boundary of this mind. When we are in the no mind state, then we get the bliss. You get bliss when you lose the I, the false ego. You get bliss when you are absolutely focused on your present awareness. You get bliss when you are in samadhi, a no mind state. You get it when you are absolutely in meditation. You get bliss when you are God intoxicated, when you are spiritually intoxicated. Eventually, that also involves absolute focus. You can get bliss by many other ways if you go in the experience of non-dual world, because bliss is from non-dual world. Remember, bliss is the byproduct of meditative mind. Devotion, when somebody surrenders to God completely, absolutely, that creates bliss. And one more thing, bliss exceeds the combined energies of happiness and joy. Bliss is infinitely superior to both the happiness and joy as well. So don't run after happiness, because that is externally controlled, and the world will decide whether you should be happy or not, when you should be happy or not, and how much you should be happy or not. Instead of happiness, choose joy. It's internal, you will decide. But remember, the wisest decision of all will be what? Choosing bliss. Try to be blissful, because bliss can be there permanently, eternally. And the quality of this feeling is infinitely superior to happiness or even joy. So, friends, be blissful, stay blissful. Thank you very much.